Hello everyone, my name is Megan Chapman and I am an environmental health specialist at the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality. I would like to thank you all for inviting me to speak at your community group meeting today. I am here to talk about water fluoridation and whether this is something as a community we should be concerned about. I would like to start off by saying that I do not have anything to disclose to you all. Yes, I am an environmental health specialist with the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality. However, they are not paying me to be here to speak with you all. I'm here as just another concerned community member. So here's an outline of the presentation for today. We will start with talking about water fluoridation. We'll discuss what fluoride is and why we put it into our water. Then I'll discuss the health effects of water fluoridation, including the benefits and the risks. Lastly, I will discuss how water fluoridation is regulated and how much fluoride we are exposed to. I will also discuss how many Arkansans are exposed to adequate amount of fluoride. After we discuss all of these areas, I will answer the ultimate question about whether or not this is something we should be worried about as a community. The first topic we will discuss is what water fluoridation is. So first, I need to talk about what fluoride is. So fluoride is a mineral and a chemical that is naturally produced on Earth. It is released from the rocks in the soil, which can then end up into our water supply. All natural water has some sort of fluoride in it that comes from natural sources. However, the amounts of fluoride are usually very small. So what is water fluoridation? Per the Centers of Disease Control, or the CDC, defines water fluoridation as the process of adjusting the amounts of fluoride in the water in order to achieve fluoride levels that will prevent tooth decay and cavities. As I already mentioned, water already has some fluoride in it from a natural source. However, those amounts are usually not enough in order to prevent tooth decay, so water systems typically need to add fluoride to the water in order to achieve levels that are high enough to prevent decay. I also included some history about water fluoridation. So research about the relationship of fluoride and tooth decay began almost 100 years ago in the 1930s. So this is where they looked at the relationship and discovered that fluoride can decrease tooth decay. About 15 years later, in 1945, the first city in the United States started adding fluoride to their water supply, and this was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Many more cities started following this city after this and also began adding fluoride to their water supply. So why do we put fluoride in our water? Before I can answer that question, we will need to discuss dental caries, or in other words, tooth decay. Dental caries is a disease in which teeth enamel begin to dissolve by acid that is produced by bacteria in the mouth. When we eat sugar, the bacteria begins to produce this acid that is responsible for dissolving the tooth enamel. This erosion of tooth enamel results in cavities, which can then result in pain, loss of teeth, and can even progress to a very serious infections in the body that can be life-threatening. In order to help prevent these dental caries, we add fluoride to the water. Fluoride has been shown to reduce the incidence of dental decay and can reverse existing tooth decay. We all drink water throughout the day anyways, so by adding fluoride into the water, this allows for frequent contact of fluoride to the teeth. We can also get fluoride from other resources such as toothpaste and mouthwash. So what are the health effects? We are consuming this fluoride, so what else can it do to us? So I already talked about why we add fluoride to the water, but I didn't specifically talk about how a fluoride actually reduces the tooth decay. Fluoride inhibits the dissolving of the tooth enamel and can actually aid in the process of rebuilding enamel that has already been eroded away. It also works by preventing the bacteria from producing the acid that dissolves tooth enamel. So yes, there are some other potentially health effects that can happen from consuming fluoride. One of the more common are dental fluorosis, which is when the appearance of tooth enamel begin to change. This specifically only happens in children 8 years and younger. Children are only at risk because their adult teeth are still developing and cannot develop fluorosis once older than 8 years old. So an adult can't not develop this. This is also the reason for the warning to watch children with brushing their teeth and using mouthwash, because they are more likely to swallow these products. It is also recommended that children should only use fluoride mouthwash if they are at an increased risk of developing tooth decay. This dental fluorosis is usually very mild and appears as white spots on the teeth. It can become more severe. I wouldn't say severe, but more like a moderate to just where the tooth enamel starts to kind of look brown, and it can also start to pit. That is very rare. Most of the times it'll just appear as white spots on the teeth. There are also some other possible health effects that are not common whatsoever. They're actually very rare. The first one is skeletal fluorosis, which is a bone and joint condition that is associated with exposure to high levels of fluoride. It can result in stiff joints and pain. As I mentioned already, this condition is very rare. I will discuss this condition a little bit more on another slide. Another possible problem could be fetal abnormalities in pregnancy and problems with reproduction. These are really rare as well and are only associated with very high concentrations of fluoride that far exceed the recommended levels. So what are the risks and benefits? Well, I kind of already went through all of this, but I wanted to summarize it onto one slide for you all. So the benefits, as we kind of already talked about, are the prevention of tooth decay and like cavities and loss of tooth, and even possibly preventing those serious infections. They also rebuild the tooth enamel of teeth that have already started to decay away. This can also save us a lot of money in dental care from the reduction of tooth decay, so we're not having to go to the dentist as often. Now there are some risks. So this could possibly be the dental fluorosis, which of these four would be the most common that could happen. And as I mentioned before, this is only going to happen in children 8 years and younger. Then there's the skeletal fluorosis, infant abnormalities, and then a decrease in reproduction, which again, all of those are very rare. So how is water fluoridation regulated? So who regulates it? The United States Environmental Protection Agency is the agency that regulates water fluoridation via the Safe Drinking Water Act. So they are the ones that set these amounts of fluoride that can be in our water. So what are those amounts? Well, the maximum amount of fluoride allowed by the Environmental Protection Agency into our water supply is 4 milligrams per liter. And this number is set to prevent the development of skeletal fluorosis. So I mentioned that I was going to talk about this again, and this is where I'm going to do that. This number is, like I said, is based off of levels that could cause skeletal fluorosis. So any level more than that, you're increasing the risk of people developing this skeletal fluorosis. So that's where that number came from. However, the Environmental Protection Agency does have a different recommendation, well, not a different recommendation, but a lower recommendation, but it's not required. So this is a limit of less than 2 milligrams per liter. They cannot require not environmental, the water systems from limiting to less than 2 milligrams per liter. However, they do require water systems to notify their consumers if their fluoride levels do exceed this level. This recommendation is set in order to prevent the development of dental fluorosis. So, how much should we be exposed to in order to prevent tooth decay? So, all I've talked about are the maximum levels in our water. Well, what do we need in order to prevent these tooth decays? So, per the Department of Health and Human Services, they recommend a level of 0.7 milligrams per liter of fluoride in order to prevent tooth decay. So that number is well below that 2 milligrams per liter and even lower than the 4 milligrams per liter. So most water systems are going to have a level of this 0.7 milligrams per liter because that is the amount that is recommended in order to prevent tooth decay. So here in Arkansas, so how many Arkansans are getting the adequate amounts of fluoride that they need in order to prevent dental caries? So in Arkansas, per the CDC fluoridation report from 2014, about 70% of Arkansans are getting the adequate amount of fluoride needed in order to prevent dental caries. This is about 1.9 million Arkansans that are exposed to this, the correct amount of fluoride to prevent dental caries. We rank as 32 out of 50 states, so we definitely have some room of improvement or for improvement in order to make sure more Arkansans are exposed to fluoride. So how can you see if your family is receiving this adequate amounts of fluoride in your water? So you can go to the CDC website here. All you have to do is click on the state, and then from there you have to click on the county. They'll give you a list of all the water system suppliers in that county, and you click on it on your supplier, and it will not only tell you if you're getting fluoride, but it'll also tell you what amount. So I looked up mine today, and I'm in Saline County, and I am in a fluoride. I receive fluoride in my water, and my concentration that I receive is 0.7 milligrams per liter, which, as you recall, that is the number or the amount recommended in order to prevent dental caries. So now I am going to answer the ultimate question. So is water fluoridation something we should be worried about as a community? There's really no need to worry about adverse or negative health effects from water fluoridation because of the strict regulation on the fluoride amounts in the water supply. As mentioned before, the recommended levels of fluoride needed to prevent dental caries is small and is not likely to cause harm. However, if you do have children 8 years or younger, you should be worried about dental fluorosis, but it's really don't need to worry about the fluoride that's coming from the waters. It's more going to be from other resources like the toothpaste and the mouthwash. So it is recommended to assist young children with toothbrushing to make sure they do not swallow any toothpaste. And then fluoride mouthwash is not recommended unless they are at high risk of developing tooth decay, and that would be a recommendation that would come from the dentist. For those who do not live in an area with water fluoridation, it is definitely something to ask your water supplier about to make sure you and your family are receiving adequate fluoride levels to prevent dental decay and to help reduce dental costs. So, no, I do not think this is something we should be worried about. I like that there's this website that you can click on and see what concentrations you are getting where you live, so you can make sure that you're not getting too much. Yes, there is a concern about if you do get too much, but there are regulations in place to prevent you from getting too much. However, fluoride from the water is not the only supply of fluoride, so that is something to keep in mind, especially with toothpaste and mouthwash. These are my resources that I used throughout this presentation. I'd like to thank you all for your time and your attention. Bye.